AFC Championship. They originally said it might be between -2 and 10. Now it's closer to like 18 to 23 degrees. Either way, the cold might play a factor in this one.
Still pretty nippy. I wouldn't want to be out there in a T-shirt.
No, on my couch.
Right.
Is a great place to be. Chiefs hosting the Patriots. Of course, they played back in Week 6. The Patriots
the underdog
won 43.
Patriots.
Well, nobody believes in them. Nobody believes. 43-40, the Patriots won the first time around, despite being underdogs this whole season with nobody believing.
It is nauseating, the extent to which they are trying to manufacture underdog status for a team that hasn't been an underdog in a game for how long?
Talking heads all over the place have been calling for the end of a dynasty.
How long, Steve, since they were last underdogs in a game?
I don't know, like 2013 or something. With Brady at quarterback, it's like 2013. Yeah.
Like a long time. And you go into one game and you're like, oh, we're the underdogs. Nobody thinks we can win. It's disgusting.
You got talking heads talking about Brady falling off a cliff and arm strength's not there. Like it's manufactured fake analysis too. So it's all fake. Anyway,
it's sickening.
Another fascinating matchup. You've got two potentially explosive offenses. The Chiefs are always explosive. The Patriots, as we saw last week, still have it in them to win any given way and really pick apart defenses. But it's a different game for both teams. The Chiefs and Patriots both played these zone-heavy teams a week ago in the Colts and Chargers. This week, both teams love to play in man coverage.
Yeah.
It's what they did the first time around. So it's going to be it's that type of game.
We're talking about the first and third team in the NFL in terms of man coverage.
In pure man coverage. And it's not just like, here's lineup, let's just line up and play man and, let's see what happens. They're creative man coverage teams. We always say when you play this cover one scheme, you have these extra defenders around, and both teams are creative with what they do with the extra defenders. What you can do with the extra defenders is say, go watch Tyreek Hill, go double Gronkowski, go double Travis Kelce. So that's going to be the cat and mouse game in this one. Man coverage, extra defenders. What do these teams try to take away in the cold, where it's a little bit tougher to pass?
Well, yeah, that's the first thing, is that the cold legitimately has the weather could potentially hamper both these offenses more than either defense can. Like that's the kind of impact the cold weather could have on this game, depending on where it falls in that spectrum of just, pretty cold to Arctic storm with blizzards, all that kind of stuff. So the cold weather could have a really big impact. And I think if it does, it's hard to suggest that impact would be beneficial for anybody other than the Patriots.
If you're taking the more explosive pass offense, which is the Chiefs, and you're bringing them back down to earth a little bit.
Even if it's impacting both teams essentially the same, I think it's hurting the Chiefs more than it's hurting the Patriots. That being said, you're right. It becomes really fascinating because the Chargers had probably the worst game plan you could possibly have going up against Tom Brady and did nothing to change it. The Chiefs, if nothing else, have the right game plan just by default going up against Tom Brady. They play a more man coverage scheme, which is how you slow down Brady. That's not to say he can't get it done anyway, but if you're going to run something against him, this is the thing to run.
Right.
They are also a completely different defense at home. So the splits are insane. Now, part of that is manufactured by the fact they played better teams on the road than they have at home.
I think for this year in particular, that's
right. But we're talking about 17 points in difference. A PFF grade of 63 versus 89 when they're at home versus on the road. Those are monstrous. And it isn't just this year. Like, they've had a split of more than 5 points better at home for the last 3 straight seasons.
Right.
So this is an Alex Smith holdover as well. This isn't just this Mahomes team and the better teams, etc. They are a different unit at home than they are on the road. And that's big because we've said all year long that this Chiefs offense is so good. If the defense just plays a little bit better, they're really hard to stop.
Yeah.
Now, that's what they're doing. At home, they're playing a little bit better, even if it is looking a lot better because of the numbers they have going up against poorer teams. So I think they have a shot to slow down Brady. And the question is, can the Patriots defense slow down Mahomes and the Chiefs, which they kind of did the first time?
Here are the interesting numbers from the first one, because we're talking about a Belichick second time around against, the new phenom, which is just a storyline in itself, right? The first time around, by PFF grade, they held Mahomes to his lowest grade when throwing from the pocket. And I know there's a narrative out there that's like, you got to keep Mahomes in the pocket. You got to keep Mahomes in the pocket, which, to a point, you're going to want to do that. but he also has a near identical passer rating inside and outside the pocket on the season.
And the number one passer rating from inside the pocket.
Right. So it's not like, now a lot of the inside the pocket stuff, the reason why the passer rating is up, because that's where you have all your screen passes, right? So obviously.
And the tap passes.
The tap passes, all the cheap stuff.
Right.
So in theory, so those don't count because you're not keeping him in the pocket. He's going to be from the pocket on those plays. So technically, you do probably want to keep him in the pocket. And that's always been Belichick's team goal is to, let's keep these mobile guys in the pocket and let's, take our chances there. In the first matchup, they also did a really good job of throwing some zero blitzes, like scary zero blitzes, remember? Where it's like Tyreek Hill's one-on-one and he's 12 steps behind somebody and you're just praying as a defense that you get to Mahomes.
And it just did.
And he just underthrew it or whatever it was.
He was cocked, ready to throw that ball, and the blitz just got to him in time.
The Chiefs might be ready for those. Now, if the Chiefs are ready for those this week, then here's a quick 75-yard touchdown, right?
Yeah.
And they had a couple of those 70-plus yard scores in that game, but they weren't necessarily they were against zone. They were against like cover two, like the most conservative type of plays because Mahomes was so special outside the pocket. He averaged over 14 yards per attempt outside the pocket. That was the highest of the season. So the Patriots are looking at that saying, all right, we're going to take our chances inside the pocket, make him make good decision after good decision after good decision, which he's done. And this is a pick your poison type of thing. We keep mentioning Mahomes has the second lowest percentage of negatively graded throws. That's insane for the type of, just the type of chances and difficult throws that he makes. Second lowest percentage of negatively graded throws behind only Drew Brees. That's the scary thing when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. That's the most impressive thing about his season is there's really no formula. You just kind of take your chances with him inside the pocket, making good decision after good decision.
I mean, that's what we've been saying is that I don't know what the game plan is to slow down Mahomes. Probably it's try and keep him in the pocket, but it's not like that's working. Right. Like that's maybe the lesser of two evils, but he's still carving everybody up from inside the pocket. So, I mean, the thing I think they really need to figure out is how they address the weapons that Kansas City has. Now, the one difference from the first time around is there's no Kareem Hunt. And not because forget the running game aspect of that. Kareem Hunt, one of the things that is kind of lesser appreciated about him on the field is the way he was a weapon as a receiver. Like he would go one-on-one with guys, get really favorable matchups and be deep down the field as a receiving target. Williams has done really well in his stead as a ball carrier, as a running back, but is he the same kind of matchup problem? Because they were able to get a few decent looks with Kareem Hunt in the first game, one-on-one with some linebackers.
He had multiple steps on Dante Hightower.
Right. Now, do they have those same plays there with Williams? I don't know, but that's a potential mismatch. Then the Patriots need to figure out what to do with Tyreek Hill because he is the most dangerous player in this offense, and can you dedicate enough resources to him without leaving Travis Kelce wide open all day? That's the big challenge.
And we saw last week, Sammy Watkins came back and made some plays. So you can't completely forget about Watkins. He played in the first matchup. Stephon Gilmore faced him most of the time. Gilmore's our top-graded corner. Watkins only caught 2 out of 4 for about 18, I think it was, the first matchup. So the way the Patriots generally do this, I could see them taking Gilmore, putting him on Watkins, and then saying, okay, team effort on Tyreek and team effort on Kelce. It comes to this cover one type thing. Do you put somebody at the line of scrimmage to try to beat up Tyreek Hill, which rarely works well? We saw that with Jalen Ramsey this year. We've seen it with good big corners who they can't always get their hands on.
Can't always, but I think that's the only way of doing it. Like Ramsey, I think it worked with Ramsey. It's just that when it doesn't work, it's bad. The problem with that is it's an all or nothing strategy.
Right.
And how many times do you need the nothing part of that before it's a bad plan overall? Like Ramsey held, 60 plays in a game. If it works, 60 plays in a game, 40 passes, let's say it works 38. But the 2 times it doesn't, it's at least 30 yards down the sideline.
It's an automatic
now,
touchdown.
Is that worth it? Like, how many of those bad plays do you need before it's a failing strategy?
The trouble with it is, you're trying to avoid those big plays. It sounds good in theory, but Tyreek Hill's not a static player. You don't just always know where he is. He's in motion half the time. Right. He's all over the place. It's not as simple as you're going to go press him, you're going to play safety over the top. But I do think if you're talking strategy, if in just broad terms, you're playing cover one, you have somebody assigned to him, and you have 2 extra players to play with, One of them's keeping an eye on Tyreek Hill. The other one's keeping an eye on Travis Kelce. And you make Sammy Watkins. You have your best corner, who's Gilmore, on Watkins, and you make the other guys beat you as best you can.
Yeah.
In theory, I mean that's got to be New England's strategy.
You keep Mahomes in the pocket. You try and take away two devastating weapons with essentially team help and double teams, and you leave Gilmore one-on-one with the third guy in the offense and hope it's enough. Have
you seen a lot of Tom Brady numbers floating around there over the last few days when you look at his playoff output and everything? In just his games at age 35 or older, he's played 16 games. He's thrown for 5,284 yards over his last 16 playoff games. So essentially, Mahomes threw for just over 5,000 this year.
Yeah.
Brady's done that in his last 16 playoff games. 34 touchdowns, 95.3 passer rating, 12-4 record. Still getting better overall. So I wouldn't write off Brady just yet, even though I'm going to. I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because I just think they're the better team. The home field advantage is key.
I'm going to take the Chiefs as well, though I get way more concerned about that if the weather is bad.
Yeah.
If the weather is bad enough that it's really impacting both those offenses, I think the Patriots are much better positioned to succeed in terrible conditions.
Do we see another? Is this an epic game? You know, Brady has a chance to make a big comeback at the end, or are we seeing one where the Chiefs pull away?
I don't know. It's tough to. I mean, it's tough to pick against Brady, period. But it's really tough to picture games where they just don't have a shot. Right? They're always close enough that it's
right.
At least in the balance towards the end. Plus, I think as viewers, we all deserve to see the moment where in a 2-minute drive at the end of the game, Brady's about to get it done, and Tony Romo just goes like full off the scale on, yeah,
here we go, Jim. Here comes Tommy Brady. He's coming out.
Right.
He's gonna make the big comeback.
They have the Super Bowl as well, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine
we need Brady for both of those.
A game-winning drive in the Super Bowl? Like Romo would overload. The broadcast would end.
That's
like,
what we're rooting for.
Like one of those, one of those kind of end of broadcast beeps where it's just beep, except it would be Romo like, he would the brain would be fried, eyes roll back in his head.
That's what we're rooting for.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
So I'm picking the Chiefs, which means I'm picking Chiefs Saints, and you're picking Chiefs Rams.